All right, let's do something a little different. I want you to forget about today for a minute. We're going to jump into the future. Let's say the date is June 30th, 2028. The global economy, it's completely unraveled. And in this explainer, we're going to conduct the post-mortem. We're going to figure out how it all went so wrong, so fast.
You know, this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the sheer speed of the collapse. For 2 whole years, you had all these experts saying the disruption was, quote, contained to just a few sectors. Well, they were wrong, dead wrong. And the speed of it all, it caught almost everyone completely off guard.
This is the result. This is this morning's unemployment number from our fictional June of 2028. Just look at that. A number that would have absolutely frozen markets just 6 months ago is now met with, well, just a kind of grim numbness. So let's trace back the steps. How did we get here?
Our post-mortem starts with a really strange paradox. How could an economy be setting all-time productivity records while at the same time the consumer side of that economy was in a total freefall? This was the era of what some were calling ghost GDP. You had all this growth on paper that just never seemed to reach real people.
So, where did it all start? What was the first domino to fall? Well, you have to go back to late 2025. There was this massive leap, a step function jump in what agentic AI could do with coding. And that set off a devastating chain reaction right in the heart of the tech economy, the software as a service, or SaaS, sector.
The first real flashing red alarm bell was ServiceNow's third-quarter earnings report back in 2026. See, the very same AI-driven efficiencies that were boosting their customers' bottom lines were almost mechanically destroying ServiceNow's own revenue. It's simple, right? Fewer employees at their customer companies meant, well, fewer software licenses. It was a fatal flaw baked right into the system.
And what ServiceNow really exposed was the engine of this whole crisis, a super powerful reflexivity loop. Think of it like a feedback spiral, where once it gets going, each turn of the cycle just makes the next one more and more intense.
And this visual just illustrates that spiral perfectly. Every single company made the most rational choice they could. AI is threatening your revenue, you've got to cut costs. So you cut staff. Then what do you do with those savings? You reinvest it into the very same AI that was threatening you in the first place. The collective result? A catastrophic negative feedback loop with, and this is the scary part, absolutely no natural break.
But here's the thing. Software was just the opening act. That same cold, hard logic soon escaped the tech sector and started to rewire the entire consumer economy. And it all came down to one single concept: friction.
You have to understand, for decades, trillions of dollars in economic value were built on human limitations, our habits, our laziness, our brand loyalty, our biases. But AI agents running in the background, they're purely rational. They don't have habits. They just continuously optimize for price and speed 24/7 without ever getting tired.
So the first casualties were all those industries that basically made money off of complexity and our own inertia. Suddenly, agents were reshopping our insurance policies every single year, booking travel cheaper than we ever could, and even replicating the deep knowledge of real estate agents. That whole business model of friction with a friendly face, it just wasn't viable anymore.
I mean, DoorDash was the perfect example, the poster child for this. Their entire business was based on you being hungry, a little bit lazy, and just clicking the app that's on your home screen. But an AI agent doesn't have a home screen. It doesn't have habits. It just checks every single option and finds the absolute best deal every single time. Their moat just evaporated.
So after optimizing all our purchases, the agents went for the financial plumbing itself. They started routing payments through these near-instant, super low-cost digital currencies called stablecoins. And in doing so, they just bypassed the 2 to 3% interchange fees that are literally the lifeblood of credit card companies like American Express.
So, okay, we've got massive disruption in software, massive disruption in consumer services, but how did that become a systemic crisis? Well, because all of that friction that AI was so good at eliminating, that friction was millions of high-paying jobs. The crisis hit the very engine of the entire U.S. economy. It's white-collar workers.
And this is what we call the wealth gap trap. It's incredibly important. The top 10% of earners in the U.S. drive fully half of all consumer spending. So, since the AI-driven layoffs were so heavily concentrated in this exact group, the hit to overall consumption was just massively disproportionate. It was a targeted strike on the economy's biggest spenders.
And the data? Well, the data confirmed it in stark terms. By late 2026, job openings for roles in software, finance, and consulting, they were collapsing. Meanwhile, blue-collar openings, they were holding pretty stable. The disruption wasn't broad. It was surgically targeting the people who spend the most money.
So as the real economy got sicker and sicker, that infection inevitably spread to the financial system. It turned out that the entire system was basically just a long daisy chain of correlated bets, all on the productivity, and more importantly, the income of those exact same white-collar workers.
The first link in that chain to just snap was the $2.5 trillion private credit market, which had absolutely gorged itself on software deals for years. The Zendesk default in September 2027, that was the smoking gun. Everyone suddenly realized their annual recurring revenue wasn't so recurring anymore. The crisis then prompted a question that would have been completely unthinkable just a few years earlier. A question that sent a chill down Wall Street's spine. If the highest-earning professionals in the country are facing a structural, long-term hit to their income, what on earth does that mean for the $13 trillion mortgage market that they anchor? By June of 2028, that stress became impossible to ignore. Delinquencies started to tick up and then rise, specifically in these tech-heavy zip codes. You know, the areas populated by supposedly bulletproof borrowers. The bedrock of the entire financial system was starting to show some very serious cracks.
So when you strip it all away, what's the fundamental truth here? What's the core economic shift that drove this entire terrifying crisis? It's really about the repricing of the single most important asset in the modern economy.
Look, for all of human history, human intelligence was the scarce thing. And that scarcity gave it value, it gave it a premium. The entire labor market, the mortgage market, our tax code, everything was built on that one fundamental assumption. And now that assumption is broken. And this is exactly why all those historical comparisons to things like ATMs or the internet just completely failed. See, unlike those past technologies, AI isn't just a tool for humans. In many cases, it's a substitute for them. It's an intelligence that gets better and better at the very tasks humans were supposed to redeploy to. But let's all take a breath, because of course we are not in June 2028. We are here today. Everything we just walked through has been a thought experiment. It's a scenario. Those devastating negative feedback loops we've discussed, they haven't really taken hold yet. The canary in the coal mine? It's still alive. This scenario isn't a prediction. It's not fate. Think of it as a warning about a potential risk, a very serious one. We still have time to really assess the assumptions our entire economy is built on. We have time to build new frameworks, new safety nets. The only question that really matters is, will we?